Disclaimer, I don't know everything. I don't know anything. Like, the kids could grow up and be like, man, if you would have done X, Y, Z, things would have just been so much better. Like, you did this. And I have to wrestle with that. I have to tell myself that many times. Like, just remember, there's going to be things that they're upset about.
I think the most important thing is teaching by example. A true leader, the way of kings is to lead by example, be the change you want to see in the world.
Leading by an example for my kids is something that I strive to do, even though, hey, I've never had a 10 and a 7-year-old before. I don't know what I'm doing.
Do you believe there's ever an appropriate time to spank your children?
Warning, may contain parenting lessons, cigar smoking, kids nutrition, and/or peanuts. I am Woodstock.
Well, bro, let's get this lit up and go.
Okay.
You excited to do your first podcast?
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm kind of nervous. I've been telling you, like, whew.
Back-to-back podcast episodes with cigars. This might be a thing. I'm not opposed.
I love a good cigar.
I used to never smoke cigars, maybe like one a year, but now I'm like, fuck it. Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
It's kind of like the thing I get to do, It's like my thing.
Not drinking, I would probably smoke cigars more.
Not drinking, I would probably drink a lot more. It's tough.
But getting back into it.
Oh, yeah.
I want to talk to you about kids. As a dad, I am constantly second guessing myself. I see other people's parenting techniques. Sometimes I'm very judgmental. Sometimes I'm very judgmental about myself, thinking, oh shit, I should do that. I think anyone who has ever watched Bluey has second guessed whether they're a good parent or not.
I'm inspired by Bluey. Can we talk about Bluey?
Let's talk about Bluey.
I fucking love Bluey. I've cried so many times at Bluey. The kids are like, oh, mom's crying again. But it's good for the kid. It's good messages for the kids and the parents too. It's a healthy reminder for me.
Absolutely. It sets a bar for us. And I think that's why it's a little intimidating. I watch it and I'm like, should I be doing this constantly? Should I be playing games nonstop?
I think I'm going to be playing with my kids more. What do these parents do for work? Like, Bandit does work. I've seen him. He's been out of town before sometimes. So.
And what's the mom's name? I can never remember.
Chili. She is
I don't
important.
know Bandits either.
Okay.
I know Bandit now because you just said it. Because at the beginning it
Chili.
says dad.
Yeah.
Mom. And for those who don't know what we're talking about, what is this, a Disney?
They don't have kids.
Yeah, they don't have kids. If you have kids, you know what Bluey is. It really is good, but it does set expectations for the kids that it's hard to live up to. I think that's why it's hard to let my kids watch some of these YouTube shows, because what I have to constantly remind them is this is acting. Even if it's their real name, even if it's their real house, they are putting on a show. It's entertainment. And this is a small little sliver of their edited life.
Right. They're marketing to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you let your kids watch YouTube?
Yes. But it's heavily monitored. And I'll preview the shows with them. I'll tell them no a lot and let them know expectations of what they should be watching and shouldn't. But yes, I do let them watch it. And then how that started is I told them no. But if you completely say no all the time to something that all their friends are doing, other people are doing, I found that they were watching it at other people's houses. And I didn't know anything that they were watching. So, lesson learned for me. If this is something that's going to be in their life, I have to pay attention to it. And if I care about it, then I'm going to get involved in it. So they know, they're both big enough now. They're 10 and 7. They're big enough now to, I hope, know, they come and ask, hey, can I watch this? If it's a new one, I'll watch it for a little bit with them. They try to get me excited about it. See, this is a good show. And I have to learn at a point to trust their judgment too. But especially when my oldest was younger, 5, she didn't know when to say no and she didn't have that judgment yet. Mm-hmm. So there would be you're clicking into little videos and all of a sudden I remember like looking over her shoulder and seeing something where like kid ate something and there was like blood coming all out of their mouth. And I was like, kind of put the kibosh on it for a little bit there. I don't want that in their head. So yes, they watch it. I do my best to monitor it. I tell them what I expect of them. I'm like, if you see something, trying to protect you from the world.
I kind of look at it as like prohibition. I was talking to a governor, not a governor, congressman.
The congressman.
Talking to a congressman. Smoking my cigar here. But he said prohibition worked. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? Prohibition worked. And he said, less people drink. I'm like, okay, if our goal is to have our kids not watch something, then yeah, we should just take those pads away. But if you look at the bigger picture and what's actually happening, prohibition didn't fucking work. It caused a black market that caused crime and violence to explode, and it ruined people's lives. And the alternative is letting people choose to drink. And sure, they may ruin their lives as well, but just because you drink doesn't mean your life is ruined. Mm-hmm. And I think YouTube, or let's just call it social media in general, I could go and I say, hey, daughter, you're not going to watch this, but then they're going to leave the house and hide that from me.
Yep.
And my ultimate goal around any social media with my children specifically, it's not to limit what they watch. It's to always constantly make sure they are comfortable coming to me, showing me, hey, look at this thing I just saw. And then when they see something that's really fucked up, because it's inevitable. I'm sorry, parents that want to live in a hole. Good luck. But it's inevitable. They're going to see some fucked up shit online. And at that moment, I pray that I've done a good enough job to where they can come to me and I can talk to them about it and say, hey, yeah, that's pretty rough. What do you think about it? Mm-hmm. How can we separate, is this reality? If it is, maybe it's probably too young for you, but we can't control that, especially if we're not privy to it.
What do you mean if we're not privy to it?
If they're watching it and they're not telling us, or they're not asking us questions about it, then we can't be there to help them. And so I see it almost as let them have free reign to a point, because good luck being able to filter out all the bad and only focus on, hey, what are you watching? And they can comfortably not hide it from me and say, oh, this is something I'm watching, even though it may be inappropriate in my eyes, or maybe the way I was raised. Maybe it's really not that bad. And maybe the bad part is the trying to hide it.
Did you ever watch a show called Pee-wee's Playhouse?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I watched that show like in fairly recent years past. Like, I don't know what channel it was on. I was like, oh my God, Pee-wee's Playhouse. That is a spaz, weird.
It really is.
Cherries, like the talking chair and all these things. But I remember me and my younger brother, we would watch it together and it was funny. And so it's like, well, that was weird. I wonder what my mom thought of that. Because, so going on what you're saying, free reign. I'm not quite on board with the free reign. Like, there are things that I'll see them watch and then I'm like, I don't like that. No, you're not watching that weird thing with the squishy gel over and over again. I was like, I'm not comfortable with that. I don't know why.
The squishy gel, that's what you're not comfortable with?
Dude, there's some weird ones where there's like a girl who like change it. Probably there's more than one, but they like change all the roles and there's a speak over and it's like two screens and one is the girl doing all these different like characters and then there's another screen where they're just like reaching into gels and like constantly like bing, 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 bing. And I liken it akin to like probably me watching Pee-wee's Playhouse as a kid, where my mom was probably looking like, what the hell are they watching, this like crazy ass shit? But I will try to like monitor that and be like, it's driving me crazy. You guys aren't watching that anymore. Like Now do they go, does a friend watch it and they get to see it there? Sure. But there's so much stuff out there on YouTube to watch. Like, if I tell them no to one thing, hopefully it sends them in a direction to like look at something a little bit more nurturing for their mind. You said a minute ago though, and something I want to touch on, you were like, let's call all social media And like I see a differentiation between like a YouTube and a social media. With social media, I see like them putting out a profile and putting themselves out there. Whereas YouTube, they're watching.
Yeah, it's a good distinction.
I haven't come to a decision yet, and I'm not there. We're not at an age where I think I need to make that decision. I think a little bit older, but I am not okay with my kids being on any social media right now.
Where they're posting themselves.
Where they be posting themselves, where they be like posting with their friends, communication, talking with other people. There is like a chess app that one of my kids likes to play, and there is chat in there and kind of monitor. What are you talking about? Like, oh, I told them I beat their butt, something like that, Well, that's not how we talk. We have good sportsmanship. Okay. But as far as like social media, occasionally I'll get asked, hey, can I get on TikTok? Or never really Facebook. It's whatever's the hot thing at the time. And right now my message is, no, we're not doing that. And then let's talk about it. Let me tell you why. And we've talked about this a little bit, but their brains aren't developed enough yet to understand what's going out there in this like ether of the internet, and that it will be there forever. Number one. Number two, it kind of, in my mind, it opens them up to predators. I've heard like firsthand stories of young kids getting onto some kind of social app that when they're like 13 and just a little bit too young to handle the adults reaching out to them in the world that are making inappropriate requests.
I mean, to that point, I was sitting there at dinner. Ever's on Roblox, some game with their friends where they're playing live. And she says, hey, can I get WhatsApp? And I have it set up to where if she downloads an app, it just has a notification, says, hey, do you approve? And I do yes or no. And so this WhatsApp pops up, and I didn't immediately say yes or no. I said, hey, Ever, when you're done with your game, let's talk about this. And I'm like, do you know what it is? Explained to her what it is. Said, do you know why I'm hesitant? And I went through all of the things that I've personally experienced on WhatsApp, which it just spawns spam constantly. There's always people reaching out. Hey, I haven't talked to you in a while. Or they're sending, I don't think they can send pictures right away. I think they have to you have to accept I honestly don't know. And that's the scary part. But I had the conversation with her, and I'm like, well, why do you want to use it? She's like, well, that's the only app my friend has to communicate. And I said, well, here's all the things I know about it. This is the thing that worries me, you having it. And after I described all those things with her, I decided to kind of hesitantly to approve it. But also, she's proven over the years that if I treat her not like an adult, but if I treat her as someone I hope she becomes and try to explain to her, hey, I'm not going to say no. I'm going to say, hey, this is why I'm hesitant. This is what you should be looking out for. Kind of like when she was younger and she wanted to watch a scary movie. I'm like, sure, but you need to prove to me you know this is fake, right? You understand these are actors. Someone wrote this. This is not real. This demon is not coming to possess you. And she very quickly, and to my pleasant surprise, really quickly was able to really grasp that, even to the point where I kind of asked her a question like, what is that? She's like, oh, that's an advertisement. I'm like, okay, what's an advertisement? Oh, well, and I'm like, I'm shocked and good. Impressed at her ability to recognize things that at that age I didn't, but that's because I wasn't around it. And so it's like, just because we didn't have the capacity to absorb the things that they're absorbing this young doesn't mean we couldn't have had the capacity given the same inputs. But I almost feel like I'd be hobbling my children, cutting off this information, because on a meta scale, it's like, that's just data that's being input into their brain. And my goal isn't to filter what's going in. My goal with my kids and myself is learn how to distinguish stuff that they want to hold on to. And then when something comes along, they can actually recognize, oh, that's AI. That's not real. That's a deep fake. That's bad advice. They said, she would constantly come to me. She'd seen a YouTube video and say, hey, did you know this, Dad? I'm like, did you look that up, hon? She's like, what do you mean? Said, pretty sure that's wrong. But they said it. I said, cool, but they're going to say a lot of stuff that's not right. Go look it up. Tell me if it's right. She comes back and she brings like multiple articles and said, see, it's true. I'm like, oh, wow, that actually is true. Holy cow.
You got jammed.
Yeah. So, yeah, I am opening up my children to perhaps be exposed to something that they may not have the capacity to maybe truly understand. But I don't think that we live in a world, even going to school, they are going to have a friend that has a parent that's more lax, and they're going to see something. We had that and we didn't even have pads.
Those were the cool parents.
Yeah.
That was the cool place to be. You know how you like look back on your childhood and you blame your parents for a lot of shit, I know I do. No, I love my parents. There's things that I know that I'm doing that aren't correct. And I'm trying to, though, every day, like, lead from my heart what I think is authentic, what I hope for them. I think that if I could direct them in another, like, put down your iPad and go play. Let's color. Let's go outside. Let's go look at the trees. The kids will wake up and say, can I watch TV? Can I get on the iPad? Can I play Crayola Create and Play? Because they know I'll let them do that one. And I'll be like, well, did you go outside first? Did you say good morning to the day? Like, I want them to prioritize people and the earth and like being outside and like those experiences. Because that's what I value. They are different people. They'll grow. And I just think like this foundation where we are right now in their development, that things like social media and YouTube and the technical aspects, like those will come, but this is the only time that we're like building that foundation. And so this is the time that I feel like is most important. Their friends are going to become more important in just a few years. And this is the time that I get to impart what I think is valuable, what I've learned in my 42 years on this planet, which I'm not correct on everything. And I know that I have made mistakes and I will make more, but right now is when I get to have my say, and hope that I'm arming them. I have a friend that told me, she had kids before me, and she said, the way I see it is I'm not raising kids, I'm raising adults.
Yeah, I like that.
And she's an amazing person and a wonderful mother and a beautiful, beautiful person. But that stuck with me when I started to have kids. Like, I'm raising a person to be an adult in this world. So this is when I get the time to tell them, what are things of value. So I always tell them, people are more important than TV. Like, hey, Ama's on the phone, Nana's calling, someone's calling to tell you happy birthday. Like, turn off the TV, pause it if you need to, but let's focus on that, because they'll be like,
just staring at the TV, not even focused.
Yeah, they're not focused. So the priority right now is like, our family time at the dinner table, waking up in the morning. We just get little snippets throughout like a school day. So let's prioritize and focus on each other.
So going outside, playing games with actual people,
just
interacting.
Just like Bluey's family. We're just like Bluey's family. We go on holiday.
I think that's insanely important. And again, one thing we talked about ahead of time that we haven't done is the disclaimer.
Oh, yeah.
I do not know if I'm doing this right. I don't think anyone does. I think some people have fantastic ideas, but at the end of the day, we're all shooting in the dark.
There's a lot of people with a lot of ideas.
And some of them are fucking crazy. Like,
some of them work for some people. Mm-hmm. Some of them work for other people, but every kid's different, right? And every kid's a product of these like two families and all your history coming together, and then this life comes and it's its own life. And
it's almost like, not to just stick on pads the whole time, but it's such a huge part of parenting kids. With my youngest daughter, I almost feel that it's like counterintuitive, where I'm like, I'll just go watch your pad because we need to relax. And she's like, no, I want to play. Yeah. I want to go outside. I want to do all these other things. Mm-hmm. So it's, if we, going back to prohibition, people want what they cannot have. And if we take things and limit people our kids, ourselves from doing things, don't have it available. Yeah, we're going to do it less, but maybe we're constantly always itching to have it, where if it's just there and we have self-control over it, then we're like, oh, it's there. I've watched Pat enough. Let's go do this, Dad. Hey, play Crazy Pillow with me, which is one of my youngest's favorite games. Crazy Pillow is where she sits behind me and I pretend she's a pillow while she laughs and giggles.
This time is so short. These stages, we talked a little bit how, you've got the baby stage, and then you've got your toddler stage, and they're doing things, then they're growing up and they're kids, and then they're tweens now. That's a thing now. Tween. It used to just be teen. Mm-hmm. See, things change.
And tweens are happening earlier and earlier.
Oh, dude. My oldest has wanted to be like a teenager since she was like 5. Anywho.
She's 10, right?
She just turned 10.
I've
got 10 and 7. This is the time when we get to be the most, maybe not the most impactful, because I call my mom like every day these days. And I'm like, Mom, this thing is happening. But this is the time that we're building their foundation. So these are our family values. This is what we value. This is how we interact with each other and then with the world around us. So showing them I have to put down my iPad too. I have one too. And I have to put down my iPad and my phone and model that behavior. And sometimes it's challenging for me because I have been working all day. I just want to chill. But if they want to play Crazy Pillows or they want to go outside and play, if I don't do that, then how are they going to really, then they're looking at me and they're like, well, it must not be that important. Maybe playing with me isn't that important because she'd rather do that too. So I'm going to do what she's doing. Does that make sense?
I think the most important thing is teaching by example. A true leader, the way of kings is to lead by example, be the change you want to see in the world. Mm-hmm. There's a saying in the Mormon church to where as long as you teach them the correct principles, they may stray away, but they'll always come back.
We have strayed.
And I think that's a very powerful statement in the sense that it's so hard to escape your core, your default mode.
I think 6 years old. I think my mom told me one time that the churches, we were talking about religion, but I think it was something like if they have you, if you're trained by this, whatever, through 6, it's part of who you are.
Mm-hmm. And we're constantly breaking frontiers with how our minds work. We used to think in a short time ago, 50 years, even 100 years in the grand scheme of things.
You mean understanding the workings of the brain?
Psychology, neuroscience.
Recent. Yes.
The fact, neuroplasticity is this term I learned when I was traveling around first doing the podcast. My main goal was to try to just, what else is out there that I've not been exposed to? And one of the things that was most striking to me was I was talking to this guy talking about the default mode network and neuroplasticity. And I'm like, how do I not know about this yet? This is one of the most important things as far as understanding ourselves and how we work and how we can heal ourselves through traumas we've had in the past. Not understanding this is a huge hurdle. Our ability to understand that, as you put it, at 6 years and around that age, we have these neurons that are digging these pathways in our brain that can be with us the rest of our lives. And the thing that's comforting to me that I've learned across the time is I truly believe we can rewrite those, or we can choose which ones to rewrite, and we can work on that. And it's a lifelong process, but it is something that why not do it right now and set the groundwork while we're very plastic, meaning while our brain can change, while our brain is learning at its fastest pace. And yeah, we can change it down the line, but I'd rather not have to fix something, which I don't think there's any possible way to not have some sort of trauma and fuck-uppery in our childhood. Doesn't matter how good of a parent we are.
No, that's why I think I won't know. Disclaimer, I don't know everything. I don't know anything. The kids could grow up and be like, man, if you would have done X, Y, Z, things would have just been so much better. You did this. And I have to wrestle with that. I have to tell myself that many times. Just remember, there's going to be things that they're upset about. But right now I'm like, but I'm doing the best I can with the knowledge that I have. One day we were sitting at the dinner table and I looked at both of them and I was like, I got news for y'all. I've never had I think they were like 9 and 6 at the time. I've never had a 9 and a 6-year-old daughter before in my life. This is the first time that I've been working through this. And they both kind of looked at me, and I think that they wait, what? Like, to them, we're mom and dad. We are mom and dad.
We know what's going on. We have all the answers.
We know what's going on. But I was trying to relate to them, I'm learning too. I'm going through this at the same pace you are. At the same, like, I have knowledge and wisdom because I'm older and I've been through some shit, and I'm trying to protect you from this shit, and I'm trying to help you learn from what I've learned from, right? There's like all this knowledge that I'm just trying to like bloop onto them so that they can be better. I don't know. So that they don't have to learn from my mistakes, but they will make mistakes, and I'm going to make mistakes, and I won't know how I've done as a parent, I think, until like I exhale my last breath. I don't know. Like,
do we ever know? I mean, we can continue to lie to ourselves to feel good about it. And I think there's, some wisdom in that, but there's an infinite amount of variables, and considering each kid is completely different and we only know what we know, like, it is truly just shooting in the dark. And that's why I'm like, I always hesitate, not saying no, like we have to set boundaries, but I hesitate.
Gotta set boundaries.
Yeah. Like, I was told growing up that, hey, this is reality. I know that this is how life works. God is this way. You should act this way. And it set some great, groundwork for like, okay, I feel confident now as a, adolescent growing up because I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. But then I step a misstep. I do something that's, at the time what I called a sin. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I'm a bad person now.
Yeah.
I'm a horrible individual because I can't control myself.
I'm the worst kid in the world.
And so my main goal now is to not say you're wrong. It's to ask, say, why do you think that way?
That's a good approach. To listen. My
oldest came home. She was going to a Christian school for a while, and she came home. She says, "Dad, why don't we pray over the food?" My upbringing, you prayed over the food 100% of the time. That was just no excuse, right? And I said, "Do you want to pray over the food?" She's like, "Well, I was told we're supposed to." I'm like, "Okay, well, why do you think that?" And we kind of talked it out, and it segued into belief of God. And
of course your conversations go deep. It took 2 minutes.
Well, she brought it up as well, coming from a Christian school. She's like, why don't we go to church? Why don't we do this? And so I started asking her like, yeah, do you want to? What do you think that can provide for you? What's your beliefs? And we start talking it out. And she, well, this is true because my teacher said so. I said, well, how do you know your teacher's right? And she sat there wide-eyed, just blew her mind.
Yeah.
A simple question like that. Oh,
there's a lot of respect.
Chance my teacher's not right?
Yeah. Another adult, right? Mm-hmm. The adult figure in the life that is respected and looked up to.
And I think that's, especially now with the way our political system is currently set up, it is such an important skill to learn to be able to think for yourself instead of just finding someone that you respect their opinion and then, all right, everything they say going forward is all true now. Yeah. We get that all the time with these. I mean, you get podcasters, you get these guys up in the mainstream media that, oh, Tucker Carlson said it. He must have done his research. It's true. We're set. And it could be Rachel Maddow, could be Joe Rogan, could be Jace Woodstock. Any of these people, we are all equally morons in this world. Yeah. Yes. And we have to understand that every single one of us are fucking brilliant as well. And we're going to say these gems of truth and it's going to resonate with someone. And hopefully that someone doesn't put us on a pedestal or anyone else on a pedestal. And then from there on out, think, oh, well, I don't have to think anymore because I'm just going to do what this guy says because he was right on this one. Elon Musk, another great example. He's been so right on so many aspects, but he's also a fucking moron in a lot of other aspects. And we need to understand that doesn't make him a bad person. That doesn't make him a good person. He is a person. Just because he's drowning in power, it's going to change the way that he views the world. It's going to change the way his actions are. Right. And he is in a lot of aspects. but he's wrong in a lot of other ones.
Another person like that that's right about so many things.
Who's that?
My husband.
He's never wrong.
Sometimes I'm like, damn it, he is right. Damn it.
I will say this about him. He tries to at least back it up with some sort of data. And the problem that we have right now is data is limited. And
I disagree with that. There's so much data.
There's
so much data.
Shit ton of data.
And it points to anything that you want it to point to.
Exactly. Exactly. If you disagree with someone, you can go online and find, I'm right.
What's your source? Yeah. Okay.
And then someone else is going to find the same exact topic, but with a different spin on it. And the honest truth is both of them are probably right. Going back to another Mormonism thing, it's
both
Satan.
Are right.
Yeah. He leads you astray with truths, That's
something that I've thought on lately is like, well, what if, we're both right, like thinking about parenting, like, well, should I, this is just like a pie in the sky example. No, I don't even have a specific one, but just like, yeah, maybe you should be able to do this, but I don't think that you should be. And we're both right because there's my reasoning for you not to be able to do it is valuable, but you wanting to do it is valuable too. Does that make sense? I don't have a specific example, but we were talking about listening, and I want to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I read a book called How to Talk So Your Kids Will Listen, and How to Listen So Your Kids Will Talk.
Ooh, I like that.
It's very good. And I did not write down the authors, but I did write down the book title because that's a book that I had got from the library, and then I ended up buying a copy because there's little like work throughs in it. Like little like scenarios, and it kind of teaches you like how to talk with your kids, and you write out different scenarios, and it really helped me to be a better listener and to be a better talker, and to also think about how to approach the kids. It also brought to light that my kids' self-talk is not always positive about me. What? Like they would think negative things if I tell them to do something. Like in the book, it's like mom might say, "Hey, pick up the wet towels off the floor." Every day, like wet towel on the bed, wet towel on the floor. How is this still happening?
Hey, at least
I don't
you're showering.
Amen. Anyway, the book said like there was an example of like mom telling kid, "Pick up the towels. I'm tired of the towels. I see these every day. Just get them picked up." And the kid's self-talk was like, "Man, mom's a bitch," and it just took me aback. Like, I don't think the kids were thinking cuss words, but they know them now. So maybe they are, but it shocked me a little bit into like, oh, I need to be paying attention to this. But so then this book gave an instruction on this particular example that was explain to them, like give it like stages and then explain to them why, explain. So, hey, when you leave a wet towel on the bed, it gets the sheets musty and then I have to wash them. Or if you leave a wet towel on the floor, like it could warp the vinyl, like these things need to be picked up and then hung up. And we also need to take care of our things and kind of go down a path like that angle instead of, pick up your damn towel. Why do I have to pick up the towels? Like there's just a different way that you can approach any situation to make it more, where they're going to be more receptive also. So I've tried to take that book and kind of model that behavior, and then always like asking the questions, asking the why, having them tell you why, and then telling them my why, and kind of going down that path together. But even when the kids were really little, but my oldest is very much has her own will and her own thoughts and her own desires. And I swear, I've told her this before too, before she was born, and I'm still like, I don't have a lot of boundaries. I've had to kind of build them as I've gotten older, but I'm very free flowing with the wind. Like, where are we going? We're going here. We're doing this. Okay. Having her, she had a will stronger than mine from day one. And I had to grow. I had to grow in my own will. I had to grow as a parent and as a person to learn how to set boundaries and learn how to like decide what do I want. And so I tell her that when I told her it, like the first time, she took it as like an affront. Like she's like, what? My will was stronger than you to grow. Like I had to be better. And I was like, no. It's a great thing. It was good that I had to become stronger and I had to become more thoughtful and I had to grow. Like it was challenging and it continues to be a challenge, but I have to explain things to her and to both of them and talk to them like they're human beings with their own thoughts and their own journeys in their own minds, because I am raising these adults, right?
So, do you believe there's ever an appropriate time to spank your children?
I do, but I don't do it often. I don't like how it makes me feel or them feel. I think it's a little bit humiliating. And on occasion they are spanked, but it's got to be a good one. And we really do try to use other forms of discipline, and especially now that they're older, I don't even like we'll tell them, hey, go to your room, but come out when you're ready. Like, you need a reset. Clearly something's off here. But generally it's, if I'm going to tell them, again, leading by example, hey, we use our words, not our hands. Keep your hands to yourself. Like, I'm going to keep my hands to myself. But yes, I have spanked my kids, and I remember sometimes they'll like pop me on the butt occasionally, and like it catches me off guard, and I don't like the feeling. I don't like how it makes me feel. And so I don't really want to put that on them. But all different parenting styles, all different kids. I got 2 kids. They're both completely different. And the approaches, I can look at my younger one, and she is going to like immediately have remorse, and there will be tears, and I'm so
just from a look.
So sorry. Like, and she is sorry. My older one, the Will, you can look at her, and the look isn't going to do it. You got to talk about it, and then there's been some extreme examples that.
Do you want to top off?
I'm good. I've got that Alani for later.
Ooh.
If Alani sponsor out there,
That
I love
hard
Alani.
stuff.
That sugar-free
Alani
energy.
brought to you by Amanda Andy.
Sugar-free energy. Love that joker.
So, like,
Okay.
going back to a comment that you made earlier, we're not raising kids, we're
Ruh-roh.
raising adults.
Yeah, that wasn't my quote either.
I
Got
try
that
to,
from a friend.
yeah, I try to think of like, how would I react to my child's behavior if they were one of my good friends? Like, I think of Sean a lot. I'm like, he was my best man, a guy I respect above many people, right?
Sean, I don't know Sean.
Sean. And I'm
Sean.
like,
Okay.
I wouldn't be like, Sean, what the hell, bro? And then I'm going to spank you. And so it's like, if I'm really raising an adult, should I threaten to spank? And disclaimer, I do. Only with my younger one now. My older one, it's been probably years. But the youngest one, it's like, how I see it is, I imagine myself on a hike with my daughter, and there's a cliff's edge. I want them to understand, if I give them a specific tone, they need to recognize I need to respond immediately to my dad's requests in certain situations. But other situations, I feel like I need to be more of a passive, like, ask them, hey, why? But if they're running towards a cliff, they need to fucking listen and listen now.
That's a safety. I mean, safety is a different thing, right?
They're walking towards a fire. Hey! And they need to understand, hey, okay, dad's tone is like serious right now. And so I took the policy at a very young age. I would explain to them, hey, if you do this, you're going to get a spanking. And then I'd have them walk upstairs. I'd never hit them in anger, because I think that never is good.
Yeah.
It allows me to take a breath. It allows them to take a breath, cry it out upstairs. And then I walk upstairs. They hear those feet.
Oh man, the anticipation.
And they get up there and like, hey, do you know why I'm going to spank you right now? And sometimes they say yes, and I have them explain why. Sometimes they say no. And then I explain, hey, this is what you did, and this is why it's unacceptable. When you grow up, if you act like this, X, Y, Z is going to happen. Do you understand me? And sometimes they do. Sometimes I realize, she's only 4. What am I doing, Jace? Give her a break. And then I won't.
Daddy not going to spank you, baby doll. Okay, you come over here. Let's read a story.
But if I
They're
tell
so cute.
them,
That's
I
part
know.
of the problem.
Oh
They're
my
so
gosh,
freaking cute.
so good. And you saw her.
Big peepers.
You brought those little face masks for him, and she's just like, puts her hands up next to her face.
She kissed the little thing. I was like, I'll bring you 5 more next time. No.
But it comes back to, like, I think that you can choose. And I think with some kids, you need to have a very, very
Some kids
strong
need the
reaction.
firm hand.
Yeah.
The firm hand.
But going back to my last episode, I brought up balance a lot. I would say there's no silver bullets in life. The closest you can get is focus on balance. And that means that, yeah, there is a time that you should strike people. There is a time that you need violence. Einstein said it best. He's a pacifist, and now I forgot the actual exact phrase, but he's like, I am also a pacifist to the point where if I need to use violence to ensure peace, then so be it. But with kids, you have to balance it out. If you are raising your voice on one instance, you have to shower them in love just as strongly on the other spectrum to balance that out and let them know, hey, I love you. You can trust me. I'm on your side. And that's the ultimate. When they are truly in trouble, they're coming to me and not someone else.
Isn't that kind of weird too? Like, I feel like that's like, is paradox the right word? But like, I would spank my child or discipline my child. They're in tears. They're upset. And then they come to me for the comfort.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm messing with their head right here. Like, I'm going to spank you, but I'm doing it because I love you. You know,
am I setting up my daughters to have asshole boyfriends?
Well, like, lead by example.
Like,
no.
They can hit me as long as they love me afterwards. Oh gosh. Is that?
I hope that's not. Well, I did say that at some point I realized that I am fucking them up to an extent.
Yeah.
No, but I've talked with people about that too. Like, isn't that a little bit crazy? Like, I'm going to spank you, but then you come to me and I will comfort you. Like, for their heads, like, I'm like, no iPad, no YouTube, but
they also,
but I'm gonna mess with your head a little bit. I'm gonna mess with your head.
They see our example, though. They see how you react around Matt. They see how I react around Mrs. Woodstock. And
the beauty.
They see I never strike her. They see that
I don't think. Hopefully, we're setting up our girls to be strong.
Yeah.
Well, they already. Sorry.
I want them to be the one beating their husbands.
They already are strong. We're helping them grow into the women that they're going to be, and that includes like our extended family, like our blood family, and then our friend family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, the kids are like, are those family or are they the friend family? And I'm like, well, they're friend family, but they're like family, so it's all family, but all the examples around them, we have like so much love in our friend group and in my family group. There's just so much love and so much joy showered on them. We can't predict the future, but I do feel like all of our kids are getting a really great foundation with the crazy folks that we choose to like mesh with. Mm-hmm. I love all of them.
Mm-hmm. We do have some crazy characters in this group.
And all the parents are amazing. And I look up to all of them. And each time we're with each other, we're talking about, the kids, or talking about parenting or being a married couple with kids, how do we manage all that? And I'm always listening too and picking up little pieces of advice and trying to drop what I think is, I've found that this works, We've got some new folks that are going to be new parents.
I know, exciting.
I'm so excited.
Congrats, Reese and Allison.
Oh,
I don't know. I think that's common knowledge now. Oh, well, no one knows who I'm talking about. Yeah. Unless you're close friends and family.
And no one really listens to this either, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
2 people.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm one of them. No, I kid. I'm really excited about you doing this. And thanks for having me on, by the way.
Absolutely. We were talking beforehand about my main goal for this. And it's the fact that so many people that have 1 million views per episode, they have their faults, they have their bias, and I almost see a trend. The people who do make it to that level of success, regardless of where they started off in life, they are warped, for lack of a better term, that they are incentivized to change. I'll sit here and I'll listen to a Rogan episode and I'm like, wow, how disconnected is he from actual reality? And it's not that he didn't come from a humble upbringing, because he did, but for the last, I don't know how many years of his life, he hasn't had to worry about bills. He hasn't had to worry about a lot of stuff that I would say 99% of the population of the world has to worry about. I could say the same for myself, though, as well. I mean, I was talking to a coworker yesterday. He says, what's the luckiest thing you've ever, experienced in your life? And I said, being born white male in America. I don't have near the struggles that I would say 99% of the world has.
Yeah.
But everyone has their own gifts. We all start from different places, and we all have to focus not where we are, but where we're going to strive to be, and the people around us, how we're helping them, how we're making this world a better place. And I don't know how I got onto that little soapbox right there.
I think we can pull a thread from that, though, because I think leading by an example for my kids is something that I strive to do, even though, hey, I've never had a 10 and a 7-year-old before. I don't know what I'm doing, but you do a great job. And that's, thank you.
Before you came on, I talked to a few people that know you, know how you interact with your family, and they were legitimately excited to hear your input, because you do have let's call it an aura or an energy around you of, you are never unkind. You are constantly thinking of others. And I think people want that in their children. They want them to grow up with those types of attributes. And we're like, oh shit, like, what do I need to change in my life to make sure that my kids are set up to be not an asshole, not selfish, be able to think of others like you do.
You lead by example, right? You be the person in the world. So I lead by example. I volunteer. I talk to them about why I'm volunteering. If I'm going to be gone, I explain to them, this is what I'm doing. I volunteer with a great organization. I'll just put a plug in.
Tell me about it.
For Connections, Individual and Family Services.
What was it again? Connections,
Individual and Family Services.
What do they do?
They are they help kids. They help kids in need, like big picture. They have a shelter, 2 shelters right now, but we're building a new building. But it's been in New Braunfels for, I think, 42 years. And they provide like counseling services in school to kids and families in need. They provide counseling services to the community, counseling services to their kids, but they have shelters. They have a shelter for like emergency, right? Like a kid gets plucked out of a really bad situation and they just get dropped off here. So for like elementary, like young kids. And then they also have this transitional living place for kids that are older and they're transitioning out of foster care and into like once you hit a certain age, the state doesn't support you anymore. You're out on your own.
Is it 18? What age is that?
I don't know if it's 18 or 21, because in the TLP, there was kids that were older. And so I don't know, but it's 18 or 21 and they're helping these kids like graduate high school and file college applications and whatnot. But so I serve on the board. And so
fancy.
I know. Yes. I was like, you want me? I don't anyway.
So it's not just I Am Woodstock that wants Amanda to talk about kids, but, in that role, do you see like a common denominator with these kids that come from broken homes?
So I don't really have, in my role as a board member, I don't have a lot of interaction with the kids. So
what type of decisions do y'all make?
Well, the big stuff that's going on right now is that we're building a new building. So the decisions are very big, like funding, financial decisions of, yes, we're going to do this. So we've had to walk through like risk strategy, talking about like, we also approve like salary increases. We have, basically all the workings of this nonprofit get run through the board. So we provide oversight. And so at this point, like I've agreed with like the trajectory of where this is going. So it's been, I don't want to say easy, but I'm on board with their mission. And so it's been like, yes, I approve this. Maybe ask some questions, but we're barreling forward and like building a new building, and it's a good thing for the kids. It's a good thing for the community. But as a board member, it's also up to me to like raise my hand and say, whoa, 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 whoa. I also participate in there's like subcommittees. So there's one on it's policy and audit. So I'm a part of a group that reviews all of like their handbook, all of their policies, from like from grammar all the way to like how the policy is written and what it's, what it's relaying and how the policy works. Like, is this how we want the SOP to be? And then usually the response is, well, this is what the state has said we need to do. So yes, this is right. But reviewing that, talking about we go through like incidences that occur. So we have like a quarterly report on, if anything happens, if there's a fight, if a kid runs away, if a kid needs to be given medication, like all this stuff is documented and monitored, and the state comes in and reviews it, and they go through it with a fine tooth comb. So we talk about those. If there was an incident where they get like some kind of like I don't want to say a fee or a fine, where they just get like a negative mark. I forget what it's specifically called, but we go through all those. So that's my role. But it's a very small role, just compared to the staff that are working there, that are actually in the trenches, that are doing the work, that are there on Christmas, that are there on New Year's, that are driving through an icy storm day to go pick up a kid in San Antonio because they don't have a place to go. I mean, those are the people that work there, are the ones that are doing like the work.
And thank God we have people like that.
Yes. So we were talking about living by example. And so I value what they do. So I volunteer my time, which I feel like is a very small thing to do to support what they're doing, like across, our state.
Is this a statewide program, or is it more local to New Braunfels?
It's counties all the way down to the coast. I think they have somewhere like between like 10 and 12 counties. But the services for the shelter are here. They're here in Comal County.
Comal, and I guess from Comal down south.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so that includes Bear County, all that?
Nope.
Oh, no.
They have their own.
Oh, okay.
But they have dabbled in Bear County, I understand. But volunteering, I've always found that my mom volunteered, and I saw her doing that. And I remember when we were younger, like her taking us to like the recycling center. Like that was something that kind of stuck in my head. She would volunteer at the church. And we were being real sad if she would give out the hosts at communion. And when I was little, I'd be like, Mom would put on her little scarf that they would wear to go give out the hosts. And I'd be so sad that she was gone for like 5 minutes. And then she'd come back and okay, she's back. But
give out the host, is that like
communion,
like the little wafer thing?
That is the body and blood of Jesus.
Like literally. It's so Catholic? Okay. I was going to ask.
Catholic.
Do Lutherans do that too? I'm trying to think what other religions do that. I know Mormons, they have just
I think Catholics are
water.
The only ones that believe that that there's been a change.
Literal transition once it gets into your body.
If you come into church and you don't believe that, then you're not supposed to accept it.
I've never understood why cannibalism's cool as long as it's Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
But
we're talking about parenting.
I want to teach my kids that cannibalism is not cool.
Oh man, I don't want to go down that path right now. I'm not ready for that. Let me go back to my notes over here. Let's see what we can talk about.
Yeah, what was it that was on your notes? Let's not let me lead this into a religious discussion.
No, we are not going there. I will not let you. Let's see. I am not the best parent. We were talking about so leading by example. That's a good one. Through all things, try to lead with just being kind with one another. The girls are getting to a stage where they are bickering. It's just a bicker. It's constant all the time. And when they were younger, I told them this actually yesterday, because the younger one came to me with, she's doing that. And I said, look, when you guys were younger, I had to help y'all through these little arguments to understand, okay, well, you're doing this and you're doing this. Maybe they think this and they think that, kind of talk them through the situation. Can we get along? Can we come to an agreement and move forward? Because we all got to live here together. And if you just extrapolate that out for a minute, we all have to live on this planet together. Okay, now back into my little tiny home. So yesterday, one comes to me complaining about the other, and I just told him, I can't do the bickering arguments anymore. You guys are at an age where you've got the tools, to talk this out. Y'all need to be able to talk to one another. Take a deep breath. Let's have a conversation. If you need some space, get some space. But I can't be your mediator, moderator for every single thing anymore. But I'm hoping that, I've prepared them a little bit, better. Of course, I'm always going to be there, and I'm always listening. So if I need to jump in, I will. but I try not to all the time. I'm trying to like see like, okay, they're at an age where I can kind of pull out of this thing and I'll insert myself somewhere else, but I don't have to, you know, I don't have to tie their shoes and dress them anymore. I don't have to do all those things. So as that stage has left, it opens up like room for the new things. I'm not going to be moderating every conversation anymore. You guys have the tools you need.
Yeah, instead of assuming because they're a certain age that, you know, they should act a certain way, I attempt to at least see how far they can go. You know, I'll give them a task that maybe I think they'll fail at, and then they surprise me and they step up the plate. And that's, you know, the conflict resolution is one to where I'm just like, hey, figure it out. Leave me alone. I don't care.
Yeah.
Get the hell out of here.
iPad, kid.
I am playing video games. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
And,
I don't think Bandit would say that, Jace.
But those kids are younger, though.
Yeah,
but
true.
Or those dogs.
Well, and I don't mean age. Like, I guess I'm saying, like, I'm giving, like, I'm
reference,
agreeing like
with
10,
you. I think
7. But it's not
correct.
like, in the book that I read, you're 10 and you're 7 now, so y'all should do this. No, I'm like, okay, guys, you know, we're here now. I'm feeling like, you know, y'all are bigger. We have had lots of years of lessons here. Like, I don't have the bandwidth for it, you know, and I use that word a lot lately. I've been using it with the kids lately. I'm like, I
think it's a great word.
I have so much to give, and it's exhausting for me to give.
Mm-hmm.
I need to recharge. I'm not, this isn't unique to me, right? Like, you give your energy, you give, and I give a lot, and I give like all of me to like so many things. So I rather be giving to you children in like a way that's more useful for you now. So you guys work this one out, and I'm going to reserve my energy for when, you know, like, we really need to talk, you know, when you need to talk, when you need me more.
Well, that's a perfect segue into, in order to take care of others, we need to take care of ourselves. Was that on your list?
Self-care.
Got it.
I'm going to check it off. No.
Every time in an airplane, they say, if you're flying with kids,
yes,
they always say, put your mask on first.
I don't know if I would do that.
Well,
I've never been in this situation, but I'm like, I get it.
Can't raise your kids if you're dead.
No, I got to have that air. Screw you guys. I got my air. Ooh, this air's good. Oh, man. Okay, sorry.
So sometimes I think it's easier to do it for the kids than to sit there and wait and teach them skills. The example that I was proud of how young my oldest put her seatbelt on by herself, and how I would do it. Oh, it's so nice once you get to that point in life. It's so nice.
Those little things like the car seat and the shoes and the brushing the teeth and the brushing the hair, like, it takes so much time. And when I get to walk around with just a purse now, people know what I'm talking about. If you know, you know. Mm-hmm. Like, the fact that I can carry a purse now is just like,
But the only way to do that is to sit there and practice patience. Watch them fail. Watch them get frustrated. I can't get it in the hall. I'm like, yeah, you can. I know you can.
Give them the time.
You're okay. I'm going to sit here. I don't care if it takes 5 minutes. You're going to get it. I've seen you do it before. Ooh, we're switching from the cigars.
Well, mine ran out of juice.
Fire juice.
Go back to it, but you know, this is for us.
That is good. That needs to stay away from the kiddos. That's something that apparently is. Where is it? I think it's California. They don't allow those. Those are against the law.
It needs to stay away from everybody.
The flavored vapes.
Yeah, it needs to stay away from everybody.
I don't know who introduced that to you, but you should.
You did.
I apologize.
You should.
I rarely smoke nicotine. That's like
Me
I
too.
said with the cigars that I'll have. This is 2 in a year that I've had, and it's all within 1 week.
It's only February. I was about to say April. What?
But these vape pens, I let myself do it while I'm like drinking really heavy.
So you don't want it? You want me to put it away?
Oh no, I definitely want it.
Oh, okay, because I'll put it away.
No, you already brought it out.
I'm a smoker.
Now I want it.
Okay, so what are we talking about? Sorry, I distracted you.
Self-care.
Yes.
As we're sinners smoking nicotine that causes us cancer.
No, we were talking about the airplane mask. You got to put your mask on first. Self-care so I am a mother. I am not a father. I'm looking at self-care from like a my perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
So especially as a young mom, people would give me advice, but when I was pregnant, oh, you're going to be a great mother. And I kind of look at them like, how do you fucking know? How do you know? What is it about me that you think do you have any idea what's going up on this head? Because you don't know. I could be a terrible mother. But they're also giving you advice like, get lots of sleep. Oh yeah, get lots of sleep. Take time for yourself. Don't forget to take time for yourself. Okay. Make sure you husband have a date night. Gotta make it a priority. Well, before the baby comes, you can do that. That's no problem. Once the baby comes, everything changes, and you can't predict how it's going to change because you don't know who's coming, right? Guess who's coming to dinner? You have no idea, this little person. So I lost myself. And I don't regret how the path went. It's fine. I devoted myself completely like to my family that I was building and these little tiny beings. I absolutely just love. They're just such amazing things. People. Like, I like them as people. And so we bring them into the world, and it's my job to take care of them and to teach them. That's on me. And this is what they get. This is their start. And the start is so important. So I lost myself, and it turned into there was some resentment because maybe my partner got to go do some fun things, and I'm stuck at home with the baby. And especially on the first one, it was challenging. I feel like on the second one, I knew it was coming, and I was able to let that go a little bit and just say to myself, you know what? This time is really, really special, and only I get to nurse the baby. Baby wants me. Like, this isn't forever. At about 12 or 13, the kids start to go off, right? And I'm always going to be there, but this is when I get to plant those seeds and lay the foundation. So, but I lost myself. And when they get to be about 2, you get a little bit more freedom, right? So I was able to you start like, oh, maybe I can read a book now. Maybe I can go for a walk on my own. Maybe I can have 10 minutes, and it starts off really small. But it gets more and more. And it was 2018 that some things changed in my life. And so come around 2019, I had decided I wanted to run again. I wanted to start doing yoga. I wanted to take some time for myself. Fast forward now to this year, I've done a half marathon.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Ton of 5Ks, 10Ks. I love running. I'm still practicing yoga almost daily. I've found time to read books now. I have friends. I go on trips now. And I feel like I have time to volunteer. I found myself again, and the self-care is important, but there's kind of a time for it. And to just tell someone, make sure to take time for self-care. Well, shit, now I got this pressure that I got to take time for self-care too. And I've got the baby crying, and then this and then that. So you just have to it's just, to me, how I saw it is this is where I am right now. And you have to put yourself aside. I had to put my wants and desires aside to get the baby to a place where it was old enough that I could then kind of come back. And in losing that, I kind of came back at a higher place. There's something to, completely letting go and releasing your own desires. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's something to when you let go, it frees you up for other things. So the energy moves out, some old energy moves out, new energy moves in, kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying, brah? You got it.
How I see it is part of it's a mindset. You have to, first understand that you're not going to be perfect, but also be able to forgive yourself. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know how many times, and this is one of the things that I've talked about before about marijuana, when I smoke weed, which additive. But no, when I do smoke a large amount, it gives me this, for lack of a better word, paranoia, but not necessarily paranoia. It's
paranoia. I've heard of that. That happens.
People can see you winking.
I know.
But no, the thing that it causes me to do And one of the reasons why my wife doesn't smoke a lot is because it makes you think about all the things that you could be doing differently.
Oh my gosh.
It makes you
I've heard of that.
Focus on like, oh man, I'm a terrible dad. I need to be with my daughters right now, or I should be doing this. I should be doing that. I should be doing that. And the reason I like it, it's like training for sobriety. It's like when you come back from that, little spaceship that you just went on for,
I'm going to be better.
You come back and you realize, oh, you are doing okay, Jace. You were freaking out about how bad of a parent, but this is all the stuff you do right. And yeah, you have some stuff you need to work on, and that like focuses on those things for a while, and you're like hyper fixated, like, oh no, I don't do enough of XYZ. But when you come back, you're like, hey, you're all right, Jace. Yeah, you do need to focus on some of that stuff. Obviously, that drug's telling you something. Maybe you should listen, and then you get to make that choice. All right, am I going to make a change in my life or not? But at least you're able to see, okay, I have some things to work on, but you're never going to be able to work on those things until you forgive yourself, put that mask on yourself first, and then you can say, okay, Jace, you're doing okay. You're here.
Yeah.
You're at least here, which the alternatives, the last thing we want is for you not to be here. Most children who have the hardest lives is because they don't have their parents at home. They don't have, or at least loving parents at home.
Yeah.
What do you think we can do, like as a society, small little micro adjustments to help avoid that? Help families try to
registration and licensing for birth.
Registration and licensing for birth. I think we should snip all boys at birth.
Oh my
and
God, dude.
You can only have kids with you. I've actually thought of that before. Like, what would our society look like?
And then I wonder if I would be approved.
Well, no, I don't think you could ever have a society that would function where you could like say, no, you're not having kids. More of like, it's a default to where kids are snipped. If, science would catch up to where we have 100% reversal of vasectomies. But if boys were snipped until they say, hey, I want to have a kid now. And then they're like, all right, it's reverse, go for it. Versus all these like whoopsies.
No,
I don't know. We'd have a lot less 15-year-old kids raising other kids.
But who's to say that they're not raising? I can't say that they wouldn't do. Okay, hold on, Amanda. I think that an older, like as I would have done when I first had kids, I was so much more grown up than if I had had kids like at a young age, right? I was I think I was 32. And just looking back at like when I was like 23, I'm like, whew. But who's to say that if I'd had a kid that young, like I wouldn't have like grown up. I know some people that have had children young and on their own and done an amazing job. So I don't know if that's, there are some kids that are young that like have a whoopsie and it just is like, they're going to be the best parents ever, like maybe they weren't planning on it because it's kind of a scary thing, but I'm going to go all in on this. And this kid's going to be, the light of my life and they'll be excellent parents. So I know that I started that by saying like licensing and registration. You asked about as a society, how can we help parents, how can we help
back
kids?
To connections, like those kids are going through a very rough time right now. Like, how can we focus on like if this podcast actually changes, the zeitgeist is the new word that I've learned over the years, but just the common perception of like how the world is and the way the world's going. What do we need to change to, minimize the pain and suffering that some of these kids have in their childhoods that just don't have that support system that you're providing to your children and that I'm hopefully providing to mine.
Well, like we said, I'm not perfect. And so the support system that I'm giving to my kids, there's definitely some mistakes in it. And I love my kids and I love being a mom. I love being their mom. Like, I feel like I tell them like, thank you for coming to be with me. Like of all the people that you could have chosen, like you came to be with me. But I don't have all the answers at all. So I think my viewpoint on this, but bigger picture too, like we can affect who we touch. We can affect our like small world. And I can get lost sometimes, and like Matt will tell me like, stop reading the news, because I'm like, did you hear about what's going on in Africa? And like, there's this whole big world out there, but what can I really touch? Like, I can affect through my immediate family and through my like really like small community. Like, that's where I can have the most effect and the most change. That's what I've come to. I don't have a voice that's like a global voice. And I'm not like, I have a goal at someday to be a philanthropist where I can just like throw money out to like causes, but I'm not there yet. So I volunteer my time, but we can make real change right where we are. And if folks that are listening in all the towns and the states that they're listening, if they touch right where they are, it's like a pebble dropping in the water and the circles that come out from it, it will ripple out. And I mean, I'm not thinking like immediate change, like there's generational change. And so I'm thinking long picture, long term too. So I will live the way that I think is best. I will touch who I can and hope that it radiates out. Oh,
Two things that I wanted to hit on.
Okay.
I wanted to, and this kind of takes part in the whole self-care part, and that is your partner.
Yes.
And the other thing that I want to touch on is nutrition, because I think that is a huge part of raising a kid that, is that not on your notes?
No.
Nailed it. Because that really is, in my opinion, one of the things that I think that we can do successfully each time. I may not know how to treat my kid differently than the other kid and get it right, but we can set them up for success on the side of nutrition.
You're so, I can't believe I didn't think of that.
I am really good at this. No, I'm kidding. But so partner nutrition. What we've been doing lately with my oldest daughter, she has a huge sweet tooth. If we let her, she'll just candy. And
I love candy.
I took pride in the fact that we'd have this giant candy box in her pantry and we'd leave it at like kid level, and she wouldn't be going and grabbing it all the time. But recently we keep on finding like candy wrappers in her room, and I get concerned because I truly feel that just high amounts of, well, specifically fructose and then high amounts of vegetable oils are kind of what's causing the huge global issues that we have with health these days, mostly in America because we're fat fucks.
We have access to it. It's cheap and it's easy to get. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so delicious.
It's so delicious. Sugar is so good.
It's amazing.
Like, it's in everything too. That's why it all tastes so good.
But I truly feel it's more harming to our body than, clean nicotine, at least. Smoking cigarettes, you're going to fuck your lungs up.
Yeah. This is fine.
In a, balance, right? There is a dose setting for every substance, right? And maybe it's near zero, but we even have arsenic in our body. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, but Chuck was like, anything that you last weekend, a couple weekends ago, he's like, okay, but anything that you inhale into your body, that is not good for your lungs. Because we were like, oh, well, this one's a little bit better for your lungs. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that these vape pens are like giving kids like a moldy lung or something because they're just smoking it all day long. Anything you put in your lungs is not good.
Excess is not good for you. But this is part of nutrition. And I think teaching these like basic principles of like
moderation and everything.
Yes.
Moderation and everything.
That's another Mormon axiom that I think should carry on to anyone that leaves a church. Stick with the stuff they taught you that's still true. Just because
Catholicism is abstaining.
Yeah, and I think that's wrong. And
is it fun? There. Is it good? No.
Well, they also have like carnival, so it's like get all your sin out this week, so you can get
you get 1 week of sin a year,
and then we're going to put some ash on your forehead. You're
guilty.
All good to go.
You're super guilty.
I say this absolutely loving a lot of Catholics. I'm not saying they're ever bad people, but that organization kind of fucked. But you can say that about most organizations.
There's some things that I don't agree with, but I was darn sure that both my kids were baptized in the Catholic Church.
Just in case.
I tell Matt, I'm like, sometimes when you're asleep, I get some water and I bless you and I splash it on you and I bless you and I'm like trying to I just like baptize him like, please God.
Fix this man. Well, now I'm like, that's a perfect segue into the partner or the nutrition right there.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about both. I'm here all day long.
We're going to have the first 8-hour long podcast, and people are going to love every minute
Oh my
of
God,
it.
this is going to send you to the top, bro.
Well, right now, we're currently doing something that I am going to toot my own horn, because sometimes I am a fucking genius.
The gems. The gems, right?
Oh, yeah. This is one of my gems where, like, I'm a blind squirrel and I got my fucking nut. I was, concerned about ever I don't want to continually tell my daughter stop eating and create a weird, mindset for her, like food is bad or she's bad because she can't control herself. And I felt like I was doing that. She brought it up to, like, I succeeded on 2 parts. One, she came to us and said, I feel bad when you and mom tell me this. I feel like, she didn't say fat or anything, but because she's not, but I felt like I was creating a stigma in her mind, and I don't think that's healthy at all. And so I was like racking my brain. How could I make her educate herself instead of me constantly educating her? And so I created a game, and it included me and Treya, and it was let me just tell you what we did. We got 3 mason jars, and we said, okay, we're all going to have a competition. And at the end of this competition, we're all going to use the funds that we've made and do something fun as a family. So every time that I have a alcoholic beverage, if it's a 4% beer, that's 1 serving. And according to the current studies, 2 drinks of a normal size is what can be considered healthy for an adult, right? And so we get 2 free drinks a day. If we go over that, then we put $1 in this jar for every drink we have. And for her, it's the same thing. When she has a beer, no, I'm kidding. But no, I wanted to teach her how to read labels. And so I said, hey, for every gram of sugar over your allotted amount, for every 10 grams of sugar over your allotted amount, because that's kind of a serving, you have to put $1 in too. And so what that's done to her, and we had exceptions like natural like fruits, for example, that doesn't count. And it's towards her sugar, but the point isn't to keep her from having sugar. The point is what she's doing now is when there's a label on something, she's reading it, she's looking, okay, how many grams of fat, how many grams of protein, but now and during this game, she looks at how many grams of sugar am I intaking? Oh, sweet. This only has 2 grams. I love this. It's tasty. It only has 2 grams. So instead of having this candy bar that's 20, 30 grams, I'm going to have this other snack that's a little bit healthier for me. And she's pretty much counting how many grams of sugar. And she's like, weighing it out. She's like, "Ooh, I really want this donut, but I'm already at my 40-gram limit.
Is it worth it?"
And she's like, "Well, Dad, can I earn a few bucks because I want to have an extra little snack? It's Friday night. I want to party a little bit." I'm like, "Hell yeah, girl, let's do this." And so it's allowing her to not have me police her. I don't have to like vilify her and saying, "Hey, you're eating too much." It allows her to eat things that she truly enjoys, but constantly educate herself and how to teach herself, looking at that label saying, "Oh, this is kind of gross. This is just pure sugar."
You've empowered her.
Yeah. And I'm so fucking proud of myself for having that little gem, because I was struggling. I'm like, how do I get it in her head to try to be healthy without me being the bad guy?
Or giving her the stigma and thinking like, oh man, yeah.
So we've been doing that for probably a month now, and I have so much money in that jar. It's bad. It is so bad how much I drink. I'm like, holy shit. Because that was part of it too. I'm like, this would be good for me and Trey.
Sure,
be able to,
but
understand.
you guys make the money, so you're like, $1. You need to up yours to $5. Oh, man.
I really do need, or just take those 2 drinks out, because on the weekends, that's when I'm like, oh no, did I just put a $20 bill in?
You just do it ahead of time. You're like,
Think. I'm like, I'm just gonna, I have way too much money in there, and it's only been a month. But this is good for me and her, because she sees how much is in my jar. And she makes comments. She's like, "Dad, you're drinking a lot." I'm like, 42, honey. When I'm 42, I'm going to stop drinking. I promise.
42. Wow, you got a number picked out?
Just an arbitrary number that I'm like,
you're like, that's really far off. That's
I've got
old.
2 more years. I'm going to just destroy my liver and then I'll get good. And
are you turning 40?
I'll
in
be
April?
40 in April. Yeah. Crazy.
Yes.
Right? Crazy. I'm an old man. Look at all this white in my beard.
I know. I see
There's
it.
a lot of red.
I noticed that.
White.
I didn't comment on it earlier. I just pretended like I only saw the red. No. Awesome,
what, you
man.
don't think it looks distinguished?
I think it looks very distinguished.
I mean, you are married to someone who has a lot of white.
Matt has the most beautiful beard. He has the most beautiful beard, and he has always. I think when he was 5, he started growing it, so he's had. He
is a hairy motherfucker. He's one of the few people on earth that's hairier than I am.
He's my hairy man. let's. So we were talking about nutrition, but you want to talk about
what do you
partners?
do for your kids?
For nutrition?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna get back to you, Matt. Don't you worry. I got some things to say.
I want all the
dirt. Nutrition. Try to lead by example. Not always the best example.
I will say you and Matt are in fantastic shape.
Thank you.
Y'all are a sexy fucking couple.
Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah.
I work out.
Me and Treya want to grow up to be just like you two.
Thank you. I've told her the same. About her, not about me. Like, to grow up to be me. Okay.
I gotcha.
Anyway, we try to lead by example. We try to keep healthy foods in the house so that if you're open the pantry, open the freezer, fridge, you're like, okay, well, these are my options. So either all suck and you just don't eat something, or you're like, ugh. Like last night, little one had cut up some bell peppers because I like to snack on it with hummus. And I was like, you want some bell peppers? That's like all we got right now. The Tostito pizza rolls, we finished those at Super Bowl. So those are gone. We do keep some bad things in the house. But she's like, okay. So she had bell peppers. So try to teach them, about how to eat right. Again, we talk about moderation in everything. So it's okay to have sweets. But you keep it moderated. Not to say that we don't have a ton of Valentine candy this week that we have all been partaking in. But healthy diet and being out, being active. They don't always, I think every morning if someone's up, I'm like, hey, you want to do some yoga with me? No, thanks. Okay. Hey, I'm going to go for a walk. Sometimes they want to go walk with me, do a bike ride. I'm always going to offer to them at some point. Maybe they'll want to come or they're going to find their own thing. But just making sure that we have healthy options, make healthy meals.
Do they make their own meals?
They do their own. I still make their breakfast for them every day. It's kind of like my thing I like to do. My dad always made us breakfast, and I just felt like it was like a sweet way of him showing love. So like make them breakfast, but it's usually like egg, protein, toast, or like oatmeal, and then like some fruit, right? Then they have their lunch that they usually don't make. We usually have lunch at school. And then dinners are like lean meats and veggies and salad. And I mean, I'll put they usually get like a rice too, but I'll put like a piece of lettuce on their plate because they don't like salad. I'm like, you're going to eat it. My older one is like gag reflex is terrible. So like there'll be like a half a piece of squash on their plate if we're having squash, and she'll be like, I tried to eat it, and she puts it in her mouth and she's like, bleh.
So she wasn't the one having the bell pepper with you?
No, that was the younger one. Yeah.
Neither of my kids would even touch bell pepper. We try so hard to get them to try new stuff, but both of them are the same way in the sense that they'll say I hate that even though they've never tried it. Constantly, every single thing. It could be a popsicle.
I paid the younger one to try a bell pepper.
Oh, you paid her?
A while back, like let's just say like a month ago. I was like, look, I'll give you $1 to try this. This is not something that I'd done before. And are you kidding? Yeah, I'm gonna try it. And she liked it. That was just that was like a happy accident, right? It could have gone either way, but I had to pay her for that one. Usually I put stuff on their plate and say, look, you got to try it. Hey, older one, you got to gag on that because she's going to be like, I tried to eat it.
Do you remember Charles in Charge?
Charles in charge of our days and our nights. Of course, yes.
There was an episode where they had a veggie to hot dog converter to get kids to eat. I don't know why that jumped in my mind, but I'm like, because that's one thing that we can't get past. Like the older one will eat spinach. So I'm like, okay, awesome. That's super healthy.
Yeah, that's really good.
Just sit there and just gag through dry spinach. And she's like, instead of these potatoes, can I just have spinach? I'm like, absolutely. Yeah, that's a great trade-off. But nothing else. She won't try anything that I know that she'll enjoy, like an actual salad with cheese and bacon bits and stuff. And like, I don't know how many times I've told her, if you mix things together, it's going to taste better.
I tell them, put the squash with your whatever, put it with whatever you do like, and just swallow it down. Don't wait for the last thing, because that's what they do. They wait till it's the last thing on their plate. And now you got to eat it, you know? Now you have to eat it by itself.
Exact same situation.
You know, we were struggling with getting them to eat their, you know, fruits are no problem, which, side note about me, I don't know if you know this, but I don't really care for fruit. There are certain occasions.
Interesting.
I prefer Skittles. So talking about nutrition, disclaimer.
I prefer black tar heroin.
Yeah. Just disclaimer, like, maybe I don't always practice what I preach, but I know that they need to eat these things, and they really do like fruit. So there's always going to be some kind of fruit. It's got a lot of sugar in it, but fruit. The veggies are a little bit more of a struggle. So we did talk to them about, hey, at dinner, what do you like? Like, what could be an alternative? So if I'm making squash, which I saute squash with like some like little like frozen shrimp and onion and bell pepper, and it's generally pretty good. It's all right.
If you smother squash with cheese, that's probably one of my favorite.
Cook it in butter.
Ever. Yeah. Oh yeah, butter and cheese on some squash.
It's a little
not really healthy at that point. Well, I would say
still
it is
getting
healthy.
A vegetable.
The new data we have on like fats and stuff is not nearly as vilified as when we were kids. So honestly, squash with a bunch of butter and as long as you're not lactose intolerant, it's great.
So I've told the kids before, like, people can die off of drinking too much water, right? If you drink, like, there's people that have that, like, you know, on like out on like a canoe trip, like on drink too much water and die. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. I've given the kids options. What do you like? Well, we like baby carrots. Okay, baby carrots. They'll go through phases. Mm-hmm. So one day, all of a sudden, they'll be like, I don't even like baby carrots anymore. I'm like, you literally did yesterday. I put them in your lunch. I didn't need them. Oh, or put them at your dinner plate. Oh, I didn't need them. I didn't like them anymore. Okay, well, what do you like? So giving them, we've had the younger one has helped participate in our grocery shopping. She really likes to do that.
That's a good idea.
She'll put what she wants in the cart, and then we go through and like, okay, like I'll get this, but not this. And hey, where's that vegetable? You know, what do you want? So getting them to like understand that, you know, meal planning is an effort, because mom and dad to take our time to plan meals, and then to buy the food, and then to cook the food for them. And then, oh, by the way, I also tell them they're going to grow up being like, my mom made me feel so guilty at every meal because she always reminded me that there are kids in this world that don't have any food. So you'll be grateful for this food and you will eat it.
We all live through that life.
So, but they are fortunate to have an array of options. So it's up to us to bribe them in whatever way that we can to get them to try those options. So for us, it's I might pay somebody every now and then. I'm going to put something on your plate. Your job is to try it. At some point they're going to eat the good food for them. You know, you don't have to worry. Like, that's one thing, like, you know, long term, like, is this going to be an issue when they're 12, when they're 16, when they're 21, when they're 30? Like, maybe some things will, but this particular issue, like, they're going to figure it out. They're going to figure out what they like. And hopefully along the way, I've helped give them some examples of like different foods, shown them different foods, and also helped empower them to, like, you know, by grocery shopping and being a part of that process as well.
I do like that idea. What do you think about the theory that we should let kids eat what they want because they know what their body needs?
I haven't heard that theory before.
Like, as an adult, I think we overindulge on sugars. We can't process things as efficiently or as well. Do you think kids can? Do you think maybe they should be eating a lot more sugar and their brain needs it to grow? Or is that just setting them up for failure?
I don't. So I'm not familiar with the theory, but just offhand, I don't think that we should be letting them eat just whatever they want and however much sugar they want.
Skittles the whole time.
That's Skittles and Twizzlers together.
Skittles, that sounds awful.
I think it's at a point, there would be some tummy aches. I've been witness to that, like Halloween, for example. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, the first Halloween when my older one was like really, Skynet was self-aware, you know, had a ton of candy, which looking back, like, should we have done that? No, probably not. But I remember her like running around circles, just like didn't even know what to do with herself, right? So I do see sugar kind of as a drug. You know, hear me out, like lightly, like
Definitely,
you put it in your body. It's like
it's addictive.
It's addictive. It changes your chemistry. You know, like the alcohol, like sugars and alcohol break down and affect bodies differently. Like, so sugar is like something that you're ingesting in your body that kind of changes what's going on in there. So back to that Halloween, I think she threw up that night. It was like an overdose. It was too much. She'd had way too much of that sugar, right? So to let kids, their brains aren't developed all the way, and this tastes good. I like this. I'm going to keep doing it. It's like a puppy. Like you give them a giant bowl of food, they're going to eat all the food. Like they don't quite know. It's up to me to help teach and guide.
Tell me about Matt.
Aww.
How do you guys balance your parenting duties?
What do you want to know?
Blank.
Oh,
Blank slate here. No.
Right,
how do you think? What's a good balance on? You know,
good cop, bad cop.
Yeah,
bad cop, bad
cop. You guys
cop.
do that?
Yeah, but it switches. How do we parent? I think listening and communicating. Like I do think that, you know, big picture, yes, we make mistakes too, and we have work to do, and you know all those things. But I do think big picture, like we respect and admire one another, and listen to each other. We hear each other out, and then we'll make a decision together, and then that's the united front that we present. Like, hey, I want to, you know, if there's something new that's come up here, I will bring it up to the other person, talk through it a little bit, you know, decide like, you know, how we want to approach, and then that will be our approach. And there are occasions where it's like, wait, we didn't, Papa said we could do that. Oh, okay. Well, that's news to me. But is it going to, you know, be affect their whole line down? No, it's fine. Oh, I came home the other day. We have this no TV on school nights because we need to be studying. We only have this much time. We can spend family time. We can study. We can do chores, like no TV school nights. And I came home and, they were watching TV, and I was like, oh, you know, we're watching TV. Well, Papa said we could. Okay. So got to watch TV. But it's not a make or break deal. And I didn't like pull him aside later and be like, we talked about this. You know, at some point we have to be able to make our own decisions too. But big picture, we respect each other. I look up to him as a father to my children. And I love how he is a father to our children. And I think that there are times that he can apply like a firmer hand that I can't do. And he's also really good at reading our kids and like understanding. I've always told him, like, I'm going to need you to help when they're older. Like, are they lying? I don't know if they're lying. I'm looking at them like they're just so precious and they would never lie to me. And he's going to be able to look and be like, she's sneaking out. Something's going on.
Do you guys discipline together? Do you guys take turns? A little bit of both?
I'd say both. Yeah.
When you have to have an actual sit down, like come to Jesus with your kid.
It's usually both of us.
Tag team it.
Yeah.
Go sit them in the room. Tell the other kid to get the hell out.
Yeah.
Stare
just
deeply
like
into their soul.
Yes. You know, I'll tell you something. We're coming up on tween years. And I always told myself, I always told myself, we're going to talk about puberty. Okay. I always told myself 4th grade and told Matt too, like 4th grade, they're going to start having the talks with the kids. I want to have the talks first and make sure that I'm the one to kind of present this material, not me, like me and Matt as parents. So I don't know if I heard I think I was reading a Reddit. That's what it was. I was reading a Reddit and there was a dad talking about how he and his wife were split and that his wife got upset that he had like feminine products, like kind of stocked for his daughter just in case. And I remember just kind of like, he was like, am I the asshole? You know, that like,
yeah.
So I've thought about that and I was like, you know, I grew up kind of on the tail end of what I feel like is kind of like periods are very private, almost like a shameful thing. And I didn't want to talk about it. And I didn't want anybody to know if it was going on. Like I didn't even want to talk about it. And I don't want that for my girls or any little girls like coming up now. I don't want that for anybody. Like literally it happens to us. It happens to my body.
Life,
it is a normal thing. It's how your body is supposed to function. So I don't want them to feel bad about it or be scared about it. So Matt and I we were always planning on having these talks together, but I told him, hey, with the period talk, I would like, in order for them to know that it's a normal thing and not be like scared or worried that you're going to, if I'm not there, like know that you're on their side too. I want you in that conversation. And we didn't like have like a day plan, but it just like kind of organically happened one day over the summer that the conversation kind of came up, and the four of us, Gracie too, she was a little bit young for the conversation. But she was there. And so, I mean, why not have the conversation? I'm not going to shield her from that. So we had the conversation about what happens. And actually he led the conversation. He's the one that said, this is what happens, and started to talk about it. And like talking about admiration and respect, like that's how he was in it with us, you know? And so I hope that for like kind of just gives our girls like a little step up of like, I can go talk to dad anytime. I could talk to mom anytime. And of course, I did go back a little bit later, and my older one had a lot of questions. And so she came to me with those specific questions, and I told her, hey, you know that you can also, I answered her questions, but then I also said, you can also talk with your dad too, you know, anytime about any of these things. And she's like, yeah, I know I can, but you've been there. You know it.
What a smart girl.
She's so smart. She's so smart. So she knows who to go to, like for different things. It's kind of funny. But they know that they can talk to us about those things, about anything. And I was really proud of us as parents and of him, like at that moment too, to be like, yes, we're putting the spike and the stigma. Like they don't have to worry about it. They don't have to be ashamed of it. Like
that is,
we're all in it together.
So important. I'm so glad you said that, because my approach is, if we get, you said, was she too young? And I'm not even sure if there is a too young, depending on how you talk about it. Like, I don't know what the right route is, but I know that minimizing the stigma, or you said you had shame around it, and there's no reason there should ever be
like
shame.
Embarrassed, you know?
And it's fully around how we approach it. And so I was put in a very, very immediate situation where I had to make a very quick decision once. It was when, I think my oldest was probably like 3 or 4, like really young. And me being like not her biological father, I think a little bit more about that. Just, you know, I want to make sure that
everything's on the up and up here.
Yeah.
Everything's on the up and up. Yeah.
But I'm sitting in the shower, and we're at a friend's house, you know, and so she doesn't have her stool. She doesn't have her little mini potty, and she runs into the bathroom, says, I really need to go potty. And so I'm like, okay. So I have the shower curtain kind of wrapped around me. I'm like slipping around, trying to like help her on the toilet. And all of a sudden that shower curtain just goes wayward.
Everything's out.
Her eyes go like saucers, and she immediately goes, what's that on your kuka? Kuka being the term that, you know, my wife has taught her daughter is her vagina. And all I say is, and in that moment, it was like a stretched out moment. And like, it was like a split second, but in my mind, I'm like, okay, this is a moment of truth, Jace. Come on, come with your A game. And I looked at her and I said, that is a penis. And then I went back to showering. She went, oh, did her own thing. And I'm like, oh, is it that easy? And that gave me this idea of like, okay, maybe I'm going to use all my training and education and just bore the shit out of them with just facts. So every time they come to me with something that like I feel could be awkward, I have this confidence of like, oh, here you go. Well, actually, the female has a vagina and the male has a penis. And the difference is, I just go into like the very scientific details, and all of a sudden their eyes glaze over because it's not weird anymore. It's just boring. And dad's like, oh, shut up, dad. Okay, you're lecturing me now. And they move on.
God, he always talks.
Yeah. But no, they'll come to me and they'll ask me a question, and I'm like, how do I answer this? And I think when it comes to the point where we talk about the periods and stuff, I at least have an arsenal, having been able to go through like human anatomy and physiology of just using the scientific terms and say, hey, when your uterine wall sheds after you have, it's going to, I'm not going to go through it all right now, but
thank you.
I think when you take away the little kiddie words and you just say, oh no, that's a penis, that's a vagina, say it very matter-of-factly, and if you're not awkward, then they're not awkward.
Yes. Well, because if we're awkward about it, that's my own self, right? That's my feelings that I'm projecting onto it. When as a matter of fact, it isn't anything to be weird or shameful about. Like, this is who we are, right? And no one taught me that. No one taught me to, like, that was like how I handled it. It was just, me being, that's just me. But I didn't want that for them. And so I think you also had, like, by having that gem of moment, where you were, where y'all had that interaction and realizing, like, how simple it was for you to be just honest and, like, straightforward, like, that also helps you in your approach moving forward. When I started to introduce the kids to the idea of, like, hormones and cycles, and just saying, like, women go through cycles, men go through cycles too, but women go through them, monthly. And I just started to drop those, like, months and months before we even had a conversation about, like, this is puberty, you're gonna go through periods and stuff like that. But I kind of took the same scientific approach because this is how it works. And for so long, I tried to fight it or ignore it. And I didn't want that for them. So I'm hoping that by taking the actions that we've taken, and the older one has come with so many questions, and the younger one has come with questions too. Hers are a little bit more silly. The younger one's like, the older one is like preparing, and the younger one's more like just asking silly stuff and like, is this going to happen to her? And something like, it's just more, she's not quite ready for it, which is why I said, like, she was probably a little bit young for it because where her mind is at. And that's not really something that she needs to be worried about yet. She's nowhere close. Older one, she's getting herself prepared, and oh man, she's ready. She's like excited. Poor thing.
Oh goodness.
But I'm like, it's inconvenient, it's inconvenient, but you learn to deal because you have to. It's part of life.
Yeah. Having a period's pretty inconvenient.
It is for everybody, isn't it?
For the guy too.
Oh God, I feel so sorry for you guys. Oh.
Actually, I need to talk to you and Matt about a business idea. The Matt's koozie, patent pending. I think we can double that down to a color-coded what time of the month bracelet does my husband have on to remind me of, okay, should I be treating my wife with extra care right now? Can I have
warning
sex
that bracelet's
right
just going to piss somebody off? Wait, there's going to be a section of time that you just don't wear one?
Well, I find myself thinking, why is my wife insane today? And I think that I could avoid that. I think I could avoid the whole, maybe, Jace, you need to be a little bit more compassionate today. Maybe logic doesn't actually make sense right now to a certain individual that's going through a hormonal rage.
I'm offended by that.
That's the truth that I live. You may be different.
Imagine living it. I speak for myself here. I'm not speaking for anybody else, but it's challenging for me too. It's challenging for me because there's a certain way that I generally am and like to be. And then I find myself struggling with everything. And then I'm like, oh, yes. That's why, it's like, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. And it's a real aspect of my life of like this up and down.
And there's no avoiding it. And
parenting under that.
Yes.
Sorry. Parenting under that is challenging because I have to take ownership and remember, like, I'm feeling a certain way right now that I am really feeling it. There's things going on in my body that are changing. The chemistry is changing and I'm really upset right now, but it's not of any of y'all, and it's not your fault. So, hey, mom's feeling frustrated right now and it's not your fault. This is like me. Remember how I told you about the hormones in my body? I'm just feeling a little bit like blue or a little bit frustrated. This will pass, but I need a little extra care right now. I really need you guys to just please do what I asked right now. Mommy's not going to ask 3 times this time.
And I appreciate when I'm told, hey, just so you know, the next 5 days, it's going to be, blue time, or next,
Yeah.
5 days is going to be red time or yellow time, and
Yeah.
whatever those,
It's
colors
crazy.
correlate to. It makes
Slap
me,
bracelet.
yeah, we need a freaking slap bracelet for all husbands to be like, oh,
Honey,
yeah,
I
I'm
love
going to
you.
bring home dinner today because I'm not going to talk about my problems. How are you today? Versus, is it blowjob time, or is it...
Or is it nothing time? Oh, you asshole.
But I need to do better. I should probably just set something in my phone to where it's like a calendar.
There's apps,
but
yeah.
I know, and I've downloaded them, but then
Oh man,
it's not right in my face every time.
He's good. He's good. And what's funny is it's a no-win scenario for anybody, because he'll be like, "Oh, you're upset. You're about to start your period," and I'll be like,
How
dare you assume to know what's going on in my body? Yes.
But yes, you're correct.
Yes. But those are things that Matt and I have been together almost 20 years.
Goodness.
I think
Wow.
in 2025, we started dating in November of 2005. Maybe is it 5 or 6? Babe, is it 5 or 6? So we're almost 20 years, and I'm proud of that. We've been married 13 years this year. I'm proud of that. And I think we definitely got a long way to go, but we've learned a lot. And, all this is like, he's learned to track things over time too, because he needs to be aware. But, he's a great partner. He's a great parent. I always knew that he would be, a great dad, and he is a great dad, and he's a great dad to our girls. He's a assistant softball coach for both of their teams.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, the season just started, so I'll get you the game schedule.
Yeah, I'll come to every one.
But yeah, you don't have to come to any of them. But he's engaged. He plays with them. He teaches them about the world. I think that we both have, we both have similar values, which that's why we married each other, because we both, not that we agree on everything, but we raise our kids under, the same values. And so, I'm really proud that he's my husband, and proud that he's our girl's dad. I love you, honey.
Well, that's a perfect way to end the show.
Aw.
Love you too, Matt.
Aw, yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time to come and share all of your knowledge. You're the expert. Everything you said is fact.
Yes.
Just want to cover that.
Wait.
Joking.
We had all those disclaimers.
No, every parent's going to listen to this and they're like, man, I would never do that. That's crazy. Other people maybe, hopefully found some gems in what we talked about.
One person found one gem.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, isn't that worth it?
Yeah, of the 2 people that listen to the podcast, you being one of them,
Yeah.
I
Well, you
hope
taught me
that
something.
other person.
Yeah.
What's your takeaway from the conversation?
I know nothing. No. Really, you and I were talking about this a while ago, but it just got me thinking about this podcast, like how I want to just continue to engage with my kids, and whether it be like getting, in quotation marks, down on their level. It's not really, but like playing with them. Making sure, like, as we've grown out of the stages of like me having to do everything for them, I was talking about how it kind of frees up space. So oftentimes I find myself filling that space with, okay, I'm gonna do the dishes, I'm gonna do the laundry, this needs to be swept, like things that I need to do. And this time is precious. This isn't forever that we're all in like this home together. And so like stopping and just taking time to be with them, because that's what they are going to remember. That's what they're going to like carry with them, is when mom and dad were like with them and we had this fun game night. It's like the little things are what's the most valuable and the most important.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Fun. Bye. I am Woodstock.